just pull up
I
this
feel
thing.
close to my camera. You guys are like further back, and I'm like.
What do you mean? We're not. We're good. We're good. All right. So this is the start of the Let's Be Real podcast with your host, Dunk, aka the Real Kid. You know, Jared, introduce yourself.
I'm Jared, aka Ragnarok.
And we have a special guest here. Name is Queen. But what is your real name?
Brittany?
The fuck? Hey yo!
I'm serious. That's my name.
So that's
You
oh
mean,
yeah,
you mean,
she's no, she's correct. That is we always call her Annie, but it's Brittany, like what was it, Kogias. There you go. Okay, all right.
all right.
So today is the first day of the podcast, the Let's Be Real podcast. We're just gonna be talking. We're gonna have discussions about certain things about life, certain things about relationships, certain things about finance, certain things about cancel culture, our viewpoints on religion. There's all this stuff happening, and of course, anything you guys want to see, just put it in the comments or message us directly, and you will be supplied. So today, I want to talk about the current state of the generation we are in. This generation being millennials and Gen Z. What do you guys? You know what? Let me put it this way. What are the pros that you see from millennials and Gen Zers?
We get along fairly easily, I think. Whereas like, okay, now hear me out. I know a lot of people who do not get along with like their parents or their friends' parents or grandparents because of reasons. But like I feel like when a Gen Z and a millennial are in the same room, there's a lot less toxic culture between them than there is like when a baby boomer is in a room with a Gen Z.
Okay. Now, what do you think that is because of?
I mean, probably because we all grew up together.
Hell no! All right.
Nah.
Before I go in, go ahead, Jared.
I mean, you're right. We definitely are a more accepting generation. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's because we're rebellious. Maybe it's just because, like for me, my parents like tried to instill a lot of things into me, and I learned from it. And then I was just like, well, how do I really feel about this? And then you gotta just sit down and analyze things. You're like, I don't really agree with that.
That's true.
I
But I'm
think
respect it.
Yeah, I definitely feel like our culture, or not our culture, our generation learned from our parents, but not in the way they wanted us to.
Okay.
So like we learned not to do what they did instead of doing what they wanted us to do.
Okay. I feel like one of the biggest things, honestly, is the gap, right? What was it, baby boomers, right? They're from like 49 to like 60, around that, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the issue is the baby boomers. They of course had things like the civil rights movement. They had family first mindset. They had all those things. Then you get to our parents, though, right? Our parents was the late 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. Right? Everybody knows how the 70s and the 80s was all along. Right? So to go from positive role models to role models who just felt like this is the time to live right now, to then us having to we can no longer live in the time it is right now because of the fact that we're always told try out everything, go for your future, everything like that. I think millennials and Gen Z are actually worse than millennials and baby boomers, right? Because here's the thing, and Jared, you know about this. So of course with millennials, we grew up, for example, with TV shows. We grew up on things like South Park, right? We grew up on things like Family Guy when everybody was offensive and stuff like that, right? And then you get Gen Z where it's cancel culture. Gen Z is cancel culture. And the thing about cancel culture to me is and everybody's gonna have their own opinion of it. But cancel culture to me is one of the dumbest things in my opinion, because you're canceling people because they did something you don't like. It doesn't affect you, but it's something that you don't like. So you're messing up or having a strong impact on their life, on their money, on all that stuff, just because you don't like what they did. And that alone is already huge. And then you got cancel culture. Like my boy Kevin Hart had a tweet from like 2011, right? That I don't even know how, but somebody went all the way back there. They had to click refresh and load more for years and years to finally say, "Oh shit, Kevin Hart said something." And then this man had to apologize and couldn't do, what was it, the Grammys or the ESPYs or something? Couldn't even do that because now everybody's like mad, like, you gotta take back what you did or else we're gonna cancel you. Like, man, you messing up somebody's money, somebody's life because you don't like what they said. You know what I mean? But what's your opinion on that?
I don't know. Figure out the timing, but actually, one of the best like takes I heard on it was from Bill Burr, because like most of you probably know who Bill Burr is. He's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, he's married to a black woman.
Yeah.
But he's white, so it's good because like he always talks about on his podcast how they have different views, and he was arguing with Nia about how they were trying to cancel it, and then his point was, if someone says something that's messed up, it's fucked up, and your immediate response is just cancel them, they don't learn, they don't get a chance to try and correct their mistake, and all you do is like harden their hearts, like, oh well, fuck everybody, I don't care anymore. So you at least have to give them a chance to like fix themselves before you just decide to just like, nah, you're done, get out of here, we hate you.
All right. What about you, Britannia?
So, by the way, sorry, my niece was like having a tantrum.
You're
so,
fine. You're fine.
So I feel like, personally, fuck cancel culture.
Okay.
I hate it. I do feel like what Jared was saying, where it doesn't teach them anything. It's like when a kid does something bad and you just take the thing away from them, but you don't actually explain like why you're doing it, like why that's bad, or like letting them figure it out themselves, like why it's bad, but still kind of reinforcing that it is bad. I mean, you don't learn from that. You can't learn from that, and you can't take steps to avoid doing that in the future if you don't know how to correct yourself.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, there have been things that I've seen that irritate me, but you know what I do? I leave the situation. I mean, there are times where people say things and I'm just like, I know he did not just say that, but I'm gonna walk away.
Actually, interesting point. Like with the whole giving people chances thing, I do feel like there's kind of I guess you could say a limit on that. So, for example, I'm gonna dab into politics real quick.
Okay.
Trump.
Okay.
All right, my man is, I think he's 74. All right.
Mm-hmm.
He's set in his ways, honestly. Like over the last 4 years, like whether you like him or not, some of the stuff he says is just like, bro, like, really? You didn't think about that before you said it? Like, he does not come across as someone who like doesn't know. He just doesn't care. Like, he's gonna say whatever he wants, whatever you think, it doesn't matter to him. He's stuck in his ways. Like, to me, he comes up as a person that cannot change.
Okay.
Like, that's just my personal opinion, but
Can I add to that real quick?
Hold
Sure.
on. Just for a highlight real quick. So Zero said, and I quote, "People over 65 shouldn't have political power." We're gonna reflect on that after you say what you gotta say.
Trump is like a spoiled kid.
yes.
At this point, I'm pretty sure he's just trying to get shock factor attention. And here's why I say that. Some of the things that he tweets are so outlandish, there's no way he doesn't know how people are going to respond to it. right?
Okay, you got that. You got that.
It's like when a teenager does something that they know is going to get them in trouble, but they do it anyway in a way that's super obvious to people that they're doing it.
Okay.
Like when you live in a conservative household and then you go smoke pot and then come back to your house smelling like pot. Like your parents are going to know you did it.
Mm.
You're probably going to get in trouble for it, but at that point you're just welcoming the attention because you feel like if the spotlight's not on you, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay. Zero. I'm gonna reflect on it after I say my last piece on this whole thing. Um, so the one thing I don't like, of course, is with reflecting on both you guys, is the fact that people think Trump is stupid. That man is far from it. That man has been through so much in his life and has been around the right people actually, so much in his life. Now, he's not dumb, but he's not really that considerate, as Jared said. He just doesn't care. But also, I do feel like most of what he says is to have a shock factor, right? You just know what you're gonna say is gonna have repercussions immediately, right? But the one false narrative about him is thinking he's stupid or dumb, right? But now, in regards to people over 65 shouldn't have political power, I'm gonna say yes and no. I'm gonna say yes and no, right?
I
Go ahead,
I
go
agree.
Ahead. Go ahead.
Which one?
Either one's fine.
you got Queen.
Oh,
You got
okay.
it.
So I just want to say, I feel like, yes, we should have a limit on how old people are, but we should also not put like a 19-year-old in office. Let's be very clear here. There's a generational gap between every generation to a certain degree. Like you were saying earlier with millennials and Gen Z, we still have, you know, um,
The gap between our parents.
countering viewpoints.
Yeah.
So like saying that people over 65 should not be in office, I mean, that's fair. My thing is they shouldn't have been in office for the last 20 years or so for me.
Okay.
Because there are some office positions that people keep for years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
And so like they're thinking in a mindset of when they first became an official to now, they're still keeping that mindset instead of moving with the times more often than not.
Okay.
So, yeah. But like again, don't put like a 23-year-old in office because we don't know what the hell we're doing either.
A little bit valid because I know some smart 23-year-olds. I'm just saying.
I know, but like even the smartest 23-year-olds you know, do they have their life fully together and know exactly what they're doing all the time?
Girl, not even these 65-year-olds know what they're doing and have
Exactly.
their life together.
But like they have more life experience is my thing.
Okay.
So they've experienced more.
Okay. What about you, Jared?
I agree, but one thing I would kind of add on to that, my concern isn't the age because, like as you pointed out, like life experience that does matter in certain situations.
Yeah.
But what I'm more concerned of is like someone who's been there for like 30 years. Nah, get out. No, like you're full of shit. You're playing a game. Nah, 30 years is way too long. Like that, it's ridiculous. Because like they've been in there so long. It's like, well, I'm pushing for these certain things. It's like, bro, you've had 30 years. Well, it's kind of. It's like, no, nah, you're playing games at this point. you're not pushing anything anymore.
I feel that. Freaking
I feel like we just need an even mix of like 26 to like 46. Just like 20 years gives people time, but I still feel like we needed like a mixture. We can't have just one side of the generation in office. We need multiple viewpoints, and we can't get that if it's just one generation in office, you know?
Okay. I feel like the higher you climb in government is when there should be age limits. Like, for example, Boston's best mayor was around 80 when he died. And he was mayor since like 92 or something.
Damn.
Right. Best mayor, though. Like, the best. He didn't even have a college education, by the way. He graduated at 70 something. Right. The thing for me is when it comes to like Congress and Supreme Court and everything like that, those are people who aren't expecting to see the next 15 years. let's be real. Let's be real. They're not expected to see the next 15 years. However, they are making decisions that would affect us 20 years from now, right? The thing about keeping people in office for so long is that they will build up interest from certain companies, from certain sides of the Congress and all that stuff. Eventually, it gets to the point where it's like, I know who I'm going for all the time now, because me and him talked about if we go big oil, me and him talked about big oil for years. You know what I mean? Me and him are like this. You know, so I'm gonna give him some money. But at the same time, they do know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing. I feel like as you enter, let's say 50, because 45 you still have your sense, 50 you still have your sense, right? How many of us had remember our parents when they were 50, if they got to that point, that they were still your parents, like they just never lost a step. I feel like 55 to me should be the gap for the 20. From my what's up, John? From my boy John, let me highlight this. For the 23-year-olds, if they were only going into office to truly help people know they could only run for office for say 2 terms, versus start a political power career. In that case, I'd see benefit to have a younger view. Thoughts? Okay, John. But no, let me just make sure I got it right. So, if they were, they call it. All right, so can everybody see that comment?
I have to open your stream probably. Give me a second.
Didn't even have my stream open, dog. Oh. But no, I do feel like if young people were, I don't think young people that young, like 23 and all, should be past state level. That's number one. I feel like most of the time they are people who, of course, grew up in their city and at least have more of a relatively, I'm gonna add a chat box, a relatively understanding perspective of what's going on in their city. For example, I feel like I'm not saying I do, but I feel like I know Boston pretty well with the issues we're having. A joke that happens in Boston all the time, if you come from outside of Boston, is Mass Ave. Mass Ave has a lot of people who and they don't know what to do with that. They don't know. Of course, bro. Of course. But they don't know what to do with that and all. There's certain housing issues. They're destroying certain buildings that hold cultural meaning, but also very beneficial to the neighborhood. I feel like young people, because they just grew up during the change of that, are then able to more connect with and fix what's going on in their city. When they're able to do that for 2 terms or around a couple years, they can then move to the next stage, which is more government, which is more state government. And then by the time they reach 32, 33, then they start to go more of the congressional and things like that. Or they can be a state representative instead of just working at the governor's office and things like that. But yeah, I just feel like young people should stay relatively to state level to make sure they handle everything in state. You can only handle so much about a little thing before you can move on to the big one. Your thoughts, Jared?
I actually like that a lot. It doesn't make sense because when you're 70 or 75, where you grew up changed completely. It is not what it was when you were young. So you relating and understanding what needs to be changed is going to be a lot harder versus someone who's 23, 26 is I basically still live here. I'm pretty sure I know what's going on. Okay. But actually, one thing I feel like what they need to do for Congress is how we have streamers who got sponsors. Yo, whoever's paying you, we got to know. If you sponsored by Big Oil, if you sponsored by someone who's doing solar panels, I should see that. It's hi, I'm John Jones. I'm sponsored by Greener Grasses, and what I think is so that way when you see what they're running or any type of law or something they're trying to push, it's like, oh well, maybe this is influencing that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Also, that way, if they're like for like an environmental company, but they're like, yeah, I'll vote for more oil and drilling, and it's like, bro, that goes against what? Nah, you're lying. So that way they can't. It's like it's not foolproof, obviously, but it'd be like one way to kind of like have a bullshit detector on your politicians.
They can't pull the old switcheroo on you.
Yeah, it's like because your sponsors is this. So how you gonna do this?
That is pretty. I give you that. That is pretty valid. Sadly, you are correct. It's not really foolproof, but that would be something good. Queen. Yep.
I definitely feel like we were saying, we do need like different ages and different powers, but at the same time, like they need to be able to work together. We can't have people that are screaming at each other for 2 hours and then nothing gets done. So I think that's a really important thing. Another thing though about like regarding that, I feel like it's really hard to get younger people to vote when all of the candidates look like their granddads. I'm just saying, I'm not saying, because, okay, so in Kentucky, we had our governors, that governor election between Andy Beshear and Matt Bevin. Most of the people who voted for Andy Beshear were between like 18 and like 30. So we were all within relatively younger than him, but still within that same age range where we understand kind of what he's talking about. And am I not well, real quick, am I not a moderator on your server?
Not yet.
I was gonna ban him for you.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I was gonna ban him for you, but I can't now.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, like it's harder to appeal to the younger generation to vote if you look like somebody who would call them out for having colored hair on the street or for wearing like bright colors or or being too loud in your own yard. Like,
Okay. Now, I do agree with that, and I low-key disagree with that. Before I get to that, he just put us back. I got. Hold on. Just hold on. I got you guys. Just hold on. So Kevin said, if a career politician, he said pollution, but if a career politician is doing his job properly, there is no reason other than medical to force them out. That is pretty valid, though. If they're doing a good job, they shouldn't be forced out. But I feel like, again, it's a perspective thing. They'll get to a point where you cannot understand what's going on, because you do have to have some form of understanding. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, let's go with student loans, right? In the 70s and 80s, you worked a part-time job and your student loans was paid off that summer.
Which is incredible, by the way.
Right. Like,
yeah, I wish.
You had a part-time job in a diner or something, right? Or let's say at a local factory or something. I think the factory started closing around 75 or so. But you had a local job. You paid off your loans. You had enough to get a car. And just 2 years or so down the road, you had enough to buy a house, right? Somebody who's 75 will not understand that my 1 year in college, I had to take out $10,000, but I can only get a job that pays me $10 or less an hour. You know what I'm saying? They won't understand that. They'll feel it. They'll feel like, I kind of get it, but no. But that's another discussion for another day when it comes to the education system. Like Kevin also says, college isn't for everyone, right? But for those that it's for, sometimes you just can't afford. I couldn't afford college, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So I had massive debt. Thank God I had a good professor who showed me how to get out that debt quicker, right? Most people, I'm not hearing to have that. You know what I'm saying? But that is pretty valid, though. If they are doing a good job, we should not be able to force them out. Right. Um, next thing. Since we're kind of going back in the day and all, kind of going back in the day and all. What's y'all opinion? What's y'all opinion on how men and women are viewed differently in today's society?
That's a deep question.
Uh, uh, what is y'all opinion? I got you. I got you. I got you. All right. Unless you want to go, Jared. You feel like y'all sound.
All right. So,
I just want to point
that's
out
a
I
hell
feel
of
a
that's a
little
really hard
outnumbered
question.
here.
But so one thing is like there's sort of like the demographic, not even demographic. I guess sort of. I guess we'll go with financial shift in the market. It's a lot more balanced out now with who's making how much money and what not, which is good. That means everybody's kind of coming up in society, or I guess more balancing it out. But as much as it's balancing out, there are still those lovely, lovely double standards that in a lot of cases we have to deal with. So, for instance, if if there's a stay-at-home mom, you're raising the kids, you're taking care of the house, your husband's working, it's like cool, all right. But like, if you were ever say, yeah, I'm a stay-at-home dad, my wife is out making all the money, they are definitely gonna look at you a certain type of way, like what? Like stay-at-home dad? What kind of man, bro? They will shred you. It's like they will rip you apart for that.
Okay.
But it's like if your wife is making 150K a year, it's like why? What would be the point? So it's like it's fine.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
it's like now if your wife is like out there struggling, like making like 50, like in my opinion, 50K is good for a bachelor, like someone who lives on their own in an apartment. But if they're out there struggling and all you're doing is sitting at home on your ass, like no, get your ass out the house, go get a job. Don't be a bum.
Okay.
But it's like if they're making that level of money, nah, you really don't need to work, and it's fine if you want to. If y'all work that out with each other and you agree to it, that's fine. You shouldn't just like judge them on that.
Okay. Now let's hear from feminista.
What the-
What?
No, he got his eyes on wife.
Oh.
Now I want to hear her perspective on this because you gotta
So-
always have a female's perspective.
So my perspective on it is like, there is still the, like Kev was saying, there's something about, or the 77 cent to the dollar thing, which for a lot of companies is still true, but they are making their way to getting better about it.
That's not for you.
I'm gonna cut you off real quick. Is that based off of having the same
Personal
position?
experience.
That's what I'm asking.
This is based off personal experience.
Based off personal experience.
Yeah.
No, like that's why I'm asking you a question. So if I'm a CEO of this company and I did 5 years, right? And then you become the CEO of the same company and you did 5 years. Is it still 70 cents to the dollar that you get compared to me? Or are we paid the same amount for that same position with the same experience?
I mean, so I've seen companies where that's the case. I've seen companies where that's not the case. I've also seen companies that just on the low will not promote certain genders. Like there are women-run companies that will not promote men. There are men-run companies that will not promote women. It's unfortunately still a thing where we are. It's unfortunately still a thing in a lot of places. But if you can, okay, back to my point because I got ADHD. Give me a second. I got to get back to where I was going. Well, that's why I'm saying it's low key because they're not saying they're like, oh well, she doesn't have that same experience. But anyway, so on that, I wasn't saying the 77 cent to the dollar is exactly what it is because I've read all the different financial things. I went to college for it.
Yeah.
I had to take. Well, I didn't go to it for it, but I had to take a class in it. But so overall, I feel like there's a lot of double standard in the world, just in general. There's still, especially where I live right now, there's a lot of, well, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're fine. If you're a stay-at-home dad, that's trash. Or even the other way around, where if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're like worthless, you're trash, you don't do anything. Like, what do you do all day? And like, but like on another note, like, okay, so I've heard of deadbeat dads. Hear me out?
Mm-hmm.
Deadbeat dads, all right? They don't talk to their kids, they don't do child support, they don't even like that part of their life erased, gone,
Mm-hmm.
right? I feel like they're held to a higher standard, like they're trashed on more. They're reamed on a daily basis for like leaving a kid that they didn't really want,
Valid.
right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, deadbeat moms are held into like such a regard that is ridiculous. Like they're like, "Oh, well, it's your right. Like you can leave. You're fine." I mean, I don't agree with your choice, but you're okay. But like, or they get like they pull the pity party thing where they're like, "Oh, I couldn't handle being around them anymore." And I'm like, why is there such a difference in how people react to that? Like,
I got you. I got you.
I know girls from like my youth who now have like 6 kids. 3 of them they don't even like engage with. 3 of them they're like at their grandparents' house. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying, Kev. Like that's literally what I'm saying. Like if it's a woman's choice whether or not to keep a child, then there's really no, like, yes, it took 2 people to make a baby, but if it's a woman's choice to not keep that baby or to keep that baby, I feel like that man shouldn't be responsible if he does not want it.
Okay. Okay. All right. I got you. So the reason why, all right, let me talk about the double standard then. The reason why there's a double standard on men and women is because men and women in general are different, right? You can even just look down the street and know what a man is and what a woman is, right? So the thing about it is that women were viewed as the nurturers and men were viewed as the protectors, the providers, right? One was made to make sure the kids grew up well, while the other one was made to make sure the kids don't grow up suffering, right? As roles, I don't think roles started to switch. I just think as women became more empowered, they started to take more of the man's role, right? Right? They started to get more of the high paying jobs. They started to be on their like they don't grow up thinking I'm gonna marry this person. No, they grow up thinking I'm gonna get this job, right? The issue I have is when people belittle women and men if they want to pick a certain path of relaxation, right? If you are, and I've seen this happen so many times, I will see a woman get bashed for being a stay-at-home mom, right? I forgot who it was. But they basically said radical feminists basically crucify you if you ever suggest being a stay-at-home mom, right? Now, say your husband makes, I'm gonna just toss out 500,000 a year, 500,000, right? Well, first of all, half of that's taxed, so whatever. But say he makes 500,000 and you decide, why should I need to work? Like I'm gonna be fine. So that means your husband doesn't come to you for money, right? He comes to you for an emotional support, mental support, right? Which, if you look at just our basic nature, women are the emotional and mental support for men. Men are oftentimes the physical and financial support for women. However, you don't need to have that support from that person, right? You can get your own, right? But at the end of the day, it was all about mental and emotional. Now, to make matters worse, with the stay-at-home dad and things like that, is that a man, and Chris Rock said this too, a man is the only person judged conditionally while women and dogs are viewed unconditionally, right? Now, of course, there's, that varies, but in general speaking, in today's society, a man is judged based off what he has physically, right? If I have no money, if I don't own my house, if I don't do any of that, society views me as less than homeless. They view me as a thing rather than a person, right? Now, A woman can have no money. She don't have to own that house. But a man, just off of how she looks, can say, I got you. You know what I'm saying? Or if she's emotionally and mentally supportive to him, I got you. Right? And he will then teach her how to get that way. Right? How to make sure you're financially comfortable and things like that. Right? Society doesn't reward men for having nothing. Right? If a girl looked like Beyonce and she was homeless, right, and you saw her on the street, more than likely you're like, dang, she's cute. I got something. Like let me take care of her. Right? I'm comfortable. Let me take care of her. She look like Beyonce. Right? But I dare your homeless man to approach a woman. That man getting pepper sprayed, kicked in the nuts, everything. Right? And again, it varies. It varies. Right? This is why I gotta emphasize we cannot speak generally because we do not know the general population. But it varies. Go ahead.
On that note,
This is massive.
sorry, she's having a tantrum. So on that note, I feel like this is going to be kind of general, but not really general, because like you consistently see it.
Mm-hmm.
Men's mental health matters too.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I'm so sick of seeing people, especially men who have really high stress jobs or are stay-at-home dads. Like your mental health matters, and I'm sick of people saying it doesn't just because you're supposed to be this strong like protector.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to have feelings, you're allowed to have emotions, you're allowed to express those emotions, you know? Yeah. And I feel like men get a lot of shit when they express emotions. Like, oh, well, you're a pussy. Oh, why are you doing that? Like, why are you crying? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, like I have girlfriends who were like that to their significant other, and I'm like,
Jared,
bitch, this is why he cheats on you.
Yeah.
Like,
I got you. Jared, I'm gonna let you go. Let me just say the sentence in regards to that real quick. Men actually aren't judged based off their emotions, right? They're vulnerable, right? If I see a grown man crying, I'm gonna wonder why he's crying. I'm not gonna be like, that's a grown man crying. What the fuck? No, I'm gonna wonder why he's crying because end of the day, I'm a man as well, and I know that men can cry, right? A female that doesn't know him will wonder why he's crying. But if say he were to cry, let's say he cries like you're in a relationship with the guy and he cries, right? You now have ammo against him. Right? You guys have a bad breakup, you go on social media and say, that's why you was crying like a bitch in my house. You just use his vulnerability against him. So it's not that men are judged based off our emotions, it's that our emotions are used against us.
They're weaponized, yeah.
Exactly. Go ahead, JJ.
I would say, I guess I would lean at we are judged on our emotions, but it's kind of like a false way to judge them because, like, for instance, my dad was born in the 1950s growing up, all right? So you had to be tough. Yeah. So growing up, it wasn't like, I guess the best way to put it was, it wasn't like an emotional, like, you know, kind of cushy, soft, hey, what's wrong kind of household. Not that he was mean to me, but it was that just, it like, one, that's not how he was taught growing up because, like, his father grew up in hell too. So, you know, how your parents grow up tends to affect how you grow up. So you do emulate certain things. But I think with men, we get partially judged on it because since we're taught to, like, you keep a level head, you never show your emotions, you never show you're vulnerable. The issue is that by the time you finally do, you've been overflown for years, and then that last thing pushes you over and you have a meltdown. And people are like, oh, they crazy. What the hell's wrong with them? But it's like, nah, bro, he's been bottling that for like 5-6 years.
That's true.
That was the limit.
That's true. Oh my God, that is so true. Oh my God. Shoot, even like this is a personal thing. So when I was at my grandmother's funeral this past Saturday, like I kept a strong face because, you know, that whole thing she was talking about, like men don't cry, like men aren't supposed to cry. But then you just get to the point where you cannot hold it back anymore, right? And when one person saw me crying, right? First thing they said was, "Don't let nobody see this." And in my head, I'm like, the fuck you talking about? That's my, you know what I mean? Talking about don't let nobody see me. I'm a grown man. I do what I want. But that also goes to show that that person, because that person was an older lady, that person grew up thinking men aren't supposed to show their emotions to the public, right? But that's just how it goes. That's just life in that way, you know. But
I mean, we do have a higher suicide rate still,
oh,
but I mean that's for a reason.
Yeah.
so we're at the 40-minute mark, so I'm gonna switch it up a bit. This one might be a little something. I don't know. Might be a little something. So I want. What do y'all think about religion?
I knew it was going to be this one.
What's what? Hold on. Actually, I'm gonna go more into it. What religion do you feel gets it right the most? Somebody just walked in angrily into her room.
I'm in the middle of a podcast. I will let you vent later. I have heard it. I understand.
You heard the
Go
grunt
lay down.
too. She said,
You can lay down on my bed and just kind of relax.
"Oh shit."
Good. Okay.
So no, first of all, what religion are you guys if you were to consider yourself a religion? And then who do you feel gets it right the most? And then goes into what do you feel is in the afterlife or the meaning of life?
Well, personally, I was raised Catholic, but I went to all Christian schools, so I'm like, all right, which actually was good because you get a little bit of both worlds. I mean, they're basically the same, slight differences, but for me, religion it's basically just a guidebook on how to live generally a good life. It's like, for instance, take a minute, like, don't murder. Cool, don't just be killing people. That's not okay. Don't steal. Like, it's mostly a guidebook on how to live. I'm not gonna say a perfect life, but like we'll say like a 65-70% good life is what we'll say. Most of it is.
Okay.
Now, obviously, every religion has had their dark histories, as we know. You can look at the Crusades. For Catholicism, it's like, yo, y'all slaughtered millions, bro. It's like, no, in the name of God. It's like, I don't know if he wanted that, bro. I don't know if he specifically said, yeah, go slaughter all those people.
True, valid.
I'm like, every religion has had its rough patch. But one issue that I see is like people like the Bible. People take it like some people take it word for word, like this is the law. And I'm like, you can't really do that because, well, one, it's been transcribed. So one, things change. Yeah. Two, if I wanted to influence people down the line, I'm gonna just change this one word or this one sentence here, and they're like, oh, all right, so we can just do it that way.
Yeah.
And then boom, you've just influenced society way down the line.
Okay.
But I view it as a guidebook on how to live a pretty good life.
Okay. Before Andy goes, John here, highlighting the message. Religion in concept is good for people. It can help develop deeper connection with people in the world, though organized religion has caused more harm than anything in the world. Your thoughts, Andy?
So I'm pagan with Buddhist undertones. Is my thing. Like, I feel like you should like make sure that you're good above all else. Like that you're taken care of, that you have some semblance of like self-preservation for sure. But I also believe there's like guiding forces in our lives for sure. Sorry, that there's like guiding forces. personally, I believe in like clairvoyance and stuff. So, there's always that draw to an energy outside of yourself. There's always a draw to like the energy of what's around you because, energy can't be created or destroyed. It just moves. So like when people die, I feel like they create the heaven or whatever that they want. And that's why so many people who have had near death experiences have so many different description of what they see when they die,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just where I stand. I mean, I feel like every religion has aspects of it that are like true and are like are right, but I'm gonna be real open here. I feel like Buddhism gets it right most of the time. I feel like ultimately you should strive to be a good person to a degree that you are not overstepping boundaries and hurting someone else in the process.
Valid. All right.
Is that your heater?
Yeah.
I was like, yo.
That's the top floor. They kind of put their heat on like max, so the air has to rush up there. But
so in a way, it's your heater. It's just the pipes that also help your heater.
No, it's different pipes. But nah. All right. So I consider myself Christian. Consider it. But my boy called me a universalist at one point, and there's some other term for it. I think it's agnostic or something like that, where I believe there's a God. I believe the God designed everything, and I also feel like there's only one, right? But I don't necessarily believe in religion itself, right? I'm more of a spirituality and things like that. Like, cause like Jared said, I'd never Christian Catholicism, Christianity. Okay, so not that. I'm not agnostic. No, I'm not agnostic. I don't need the proof. But technically, I did see proof, but not like the proof. Like here you go, here's proof. But there's definitely a strong sense of spirituality. I believe every religion is correct, and I believe they're wrong at the same time. I feel like in the beginning there was probably just one religion and everything just branched off. You know what I'm saying? Like my perspective is there's one God, but that's too hard to understand. That's too hard to figure in your mind. Like somebody came before time. Like how can you think before time? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So then you have multiple religions that instead of one God, you have multiple gods for multiple roles. Because that makes more sense. You know what I'm saying? Queen, go ahead if you want
to. Monotheistic is what you were
saying. There it is, mono. So I believe every religion is correct in regards to every religion has the same basically golden rules. Be good to each other, don't kill your mom, and die in peace. Like that.
Real quick. On that note, I want to say I'm really fucking tired of people nitpicking books.
Nitpicking books?
Religious books. I'm sick of people nitpicking through them and picking out what they want to hear and what they want to use.
That's human
For
nature.
example, you cannot worship the Bible itself as a book and say you've read the whole thing, and this is just an example, and be like, I'm against homosexuality, but wear jeans and cotton. You can't do it. You can't. It is a sin to wear two different fabrics. It is a sin to eat shellfish. It's a sin to work on Sundays.
If you eat pork, you're a sinner. I hope you know that.
If you eat pork, if you eat bacon, you like them bacon sandwiches? Not
sinner.
anymore.
But here's the thing. Here is the thing about that, though. God said, look, you're going to sin because you a sinner anyway. So, I'm going to eat my bacon.
My favorite argument for that though is that God gave us free will for a reason. It doesn't matter what God you believe in, you were given free will for a reason.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I don't want to deal with you. Go do your own thing. Yeah. And we did.
Some of it was good. Some of it was bad.
A lot of it was bad.
So with that, if you believe in heaven or hell, do you believe that sinners go to hell, or do you think it's more like you murdered somebody in cold blood? That's the people that go to hell, not the one that stole a Kit Kat from Walgreens or something.
Let me say real quick. I just want to say, all right. So by definition, there's supposed to be 7 layers of hell, right?
Dante.
Yeah, good book.
Dante's Inferno. There's supposed to be 7 layers of hell. So like each layer is a different issue. Who's to say that top layer isn't what people consider heaven because it's all the minor things? Because everybody sins. There is no singularly perfect person that has never sinned in their life.
Hold up. So we throwing theories on what hell is. I bet. So I bet. I think we in hell right now. Then.
We're on
That's a fair point because the world is shitty.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Hear
me out. They always talk about how hell is a feeling of loss or a feeling of pain. Things like that. There's only one place in all of history that talks about gaining something and then losing something, and that's Earth, right? You can't experience happiness or sadness if you never experience happiness. Right?
It's the same thing the other way. You can't experience happiness if you
experience sadness. So if I'm in hell, or what they say is hell, that means in hell, in the Bible, that means I've had to experience relief before the pain comes again, right? So is that not Earth?
That is.
And a good hell.
You want to know what else is really fun about Earth?
What?
What's the center of Earth?
The core?
Me.
The core. It's molten lava.
I am the center.
No. Listen, it's molten lava, right?
Yeah, of course.
What is supposed to be one of the most painful aspects of hell is hellfire, right?
Yeah. Yep, there you go.
There's
Bam.
There's layers of the earth. When we die, somebody gets put into another layer of the earth.
Damn. One thing I saw that Earth is hell, but every time you die, you get reincarnated back onto Earth again.
To relive and make up for it, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, a lot of times when you I've talked to psychologists who have read theories about when you dream, some of your dreams are actually memories of a past life, which is really cool. It's a cool
eggshell theory.
Yeah. Eggshell theory.
That's a great. Have you heard of that, Doug?
Nah, I like in one of my dreams I kissed my crush. So does that mean in my past life I had the same crush? And I'm not talking about crush like soda. I'm talking about
not all of them are not all of them are memories, but some of them are memories. What if we dig into the brain and find out to see the future? That's where clairvoyance comes in, because every human being has that ability to see something that would happen. But fun fact, when you think of something happening in a dream, if you think about it, your subconscious will work to make it happen. And that theory has been proven multiple times.
Okay.
Actually, I also think we're also a lot more connected than we realize. So, for instance, people say they can tell when something's wrong, and you call that, oh, that's your sixth sense. From the science aspect, it's like, oh, no, that's for when thousands, millions, thousands, whatever you believe, years ago, you develop that so you can sense danger, like if a predator's nearby, right? But there are stories that people were like, well, I went to work, and then something in the back of my mind was like, yo, my wife's in danger. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. I leave to go to work every day, and I go back home, and lo and behold, she fell down the stairs or something. And it's like, well, what tipped you off? And they're like, I don't know. Something just felt wrong. It's like, nah, I think we're a little bit more connected.
That's like that thing I was saying earlier where energy just moves. So the energy in a house, when something happens in the house and the energy, you can feel it shift.
Mm-hmm.
It's just energy moving. We create energy. We disperse energy,
Okay. Now, guys, we got 5 minutes left, so let's go bonus round.
Oh. Criteria for heaven or hell.
Oh, shit.
How you getting in?
Hey, yo!
Don't be a dick.
Huh?
Right there. That's it. That's it. She said, don't be a dick. That's the golden rule.
I thought she said something else about dick. Like, how about, look, what you do with you is none of my business. All right? Do you. But no.
Can I make a suggestion for the bonus round?
Go ahead.
Because I feel like that should just be criteria anyway. Let's talk about the COVID vaccine.
All right, I'm not taking that shit. Not until no. Wait, hear me out. Hear me out.
I know what you're gonna say.
Hear me out. I'm not taking it until I see a lot of other people take it first. There you go. Because again, and people, I hate when people try to use the whole cancer thing. Like they're like, oh, we don't have a cure for cancer. Cancer is a DNA issue, right? You're not gonna get a vaccine for something that's very special to your DNA, right? That's number one. But number two, right? I also feel like it's safe because I have a lot of friends in the medical field and anything like that, and they say there's been already so many positive tests in regards to like how it turned out. It's gonna kind of be like the flu, like it helps prevent it, right? It doesn't really cure it. It helps prevent it. It's basically gonna be another flu shot for us, basically, right? Like,
I want to point out, Kev, if you watch other news sources besides the ones that were covering the election, it was actually announced a long time ago that it was in development.
Because I think it was based off of one of the SARS vaccines they're working on, right? And they just had to like tweak it a little bit.
They took a strand of the flu vaccine and they adjusted it to work for COVID, is what they did.
jeez, them damn bats, bro. Them damn bats. Batman would be so pissed right now. What about you,
But,
Gerald? Gerald.
So one, no one probably knows, but I work in the field of science. Now, before you're like, oh, all right, like he's an expert. Nah, I don't work in vaccines or anything like that. But one benefit of working in the field of science is you get to talk to a lot of scientists. Some of them work in my field, some of them don't. But it helps because you get a little bit of everybody's opinion. So they're pretty confident in it. And I'm like, okay, but me, it's just personally me because plant boy, shut up, Kevin. Plants are important. They keep the world going.
More poison Subway. Go ahead, Jeff. I can't. Go ahead.
But I would say, well, one funny thing is like I've never gotten a flu vaccine, which is hilarious. Not that I didn't want to, I just never even thought about it. And I was
the bug did die. It's right here.
And like after all this time, I've never gotten the flu in my whole life, which is crazy. Maybe I'm lucky. Maybe my immune system is absolute fire. That's what I believe. But I've never gotten a flu vaccine, but I've also never gotten a flu. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's probably a bad thing because I'm hurting the herd immunity.
Yeah.
But once again, the flu doesn't spread as much as like COVID is.
Yeah.
So with this, the only issue that I really see that people are like, oh, it's been rushed. They're worried about that they rushed the vaccine. They didn't get enough trials. Which I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, give it like 3-4 months. Maybe we'll see what happens. But like my little conspiracy joke is just like, y'all ever seen I Am Legend, right? They rushed that cancer cure. Look what happened. Everybody turned into like weird vampire thing. We ain't trying to have that.
Kevin says or. Let's see what Kevin has to say. Kevin is a damn fool, though. Always remember that. Don't fucking take it and stay away from people like normal. That is valid up until you gotta be around people. This is valid. But no. Overall, guys, I do feel like you should take the vaccine. I'm not suggesting you do it. I just do feel like you should. But just know to have other people go in front of you. It's just like new food. You ain't gonna try new food until you see somebody else taste that shit. All right? So that's all I'm saying. All right, go ahead.
I volunteer as tribute. I'm getting that vaccine as soon as it's available.
See, she getting that vaccine. I'm staying in my house.
I mean,
there's a
the only
difference.
issue is going to be the
why.
distribution of it, though.
Here's why. I have my daughter, my autistic nephew, and my niece, who are all immunocompromised.
Ooh. Okay.
So I'm going to take it so that I lessen the chance of me giving it to them.
Now, if it's like
Because
the
if
flu,
my daughter gets sick with the flu, she ends up in the hospital.
So this is just a question before we run out of time. So if it's like the flu that sometimes gives people the flu so they can get it early and build the antibodies and all.
I ain't trust no damn Imgur link.
The hell? Imgur. But nah. But not today. So that's a wrap up, guys.
Real quick, I just want to say the only thing that's in a needle that I'm scared of is heroin.
Fuck you, Drum King. That was not funny. I hate you.
Vaccines?
Kevin, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
All of them. Listen, I got 2 arms and 2 legs. Give me all the vaccines. I get birth control. So
hey, yo, listen. I don't know what the hell y'all talking about, but this shit went
you
straight left.
Kevin, bro.
Hey, yo. Hey, hold on. You know, I'm not gonna do it. This is called Let's Be Real. So whatever you're putting in the comments, I'm not even gonna block it. I'm not gonna ban it or nothing. Go ahead, do your thing. But yo, no bullshit. This has been our first podcast. All right, this has been our first podcast. It was fun. All right, if you guys enjoyed it, just let us know. But I will be putting a suggestion box.
This man.
But I will be putting a suggestion box out so you guys can have us talk about anything you guys want us to talk about. We have Kevin here, just doing crazy. Congrats on the first five. Sounds great. You were on fire. Thank you, John. Thank you. I appreciate you coming through, and I appreciate you following me. I saw it earlier today, bro. Again, shout out to Dong too. Dong, I didn't ignore you, bro. I see you too. Shout out to my man Devon for the sub. Shout out to Dong for the sub. Shout out to my boy John out here for the follow, for giving us a good point to go over. As you can see,
he was wrong. Look at work be theory, bro. He would have fucked up everything.
Yo, next podcast suggestion box, chat box, and a poll. When a topic, comes up, that sounds like a lot of work. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do with that. All right. But with that, guys.
End the bye.
What the fuck were you about to show us? Hey, yo!
No, this isn't what I was going to show you. I was going to say something, but I'm just messing with the card.
Messing with the card.
Go ahead.
But guys, I appreciate you guys for coming through, and hope you have a good one.